Hey there, it's Kim from Not Consumed. Today we're going to talk about how to help your kids overcome the mountain of stuff, okay? You know, the mountain that we all have. Today's question of the day I'd love for you to answer is, do you have too much stuff? I'm sure I know the answer, but go ahead and type it in the comments. This helps me to know that you can hear me and helps us to all know that we're in the same boat. So do you have too much stuff? Yes or no? As I mentioned, we are going to talk about how to help your kids overcome the mountain of stuff. This is week 2 in our Contentment Challenge. If you haven't heard about that yet, let me just tell you a little bit. In the comments above, you will notice a link so that you can subscribe to get email devotionals and information about our challenge. We're doing a challenge all month for the month of October to help us get our hearts ready for the holidays, really, but also just to help us to be more content and more focused on what God wants us to be focused on as we go through this season. So today we're going to talk about kids and how to help them overcome their mountain of stuff. In the devotional that you'll be getting in a little bit via email, if you've signed up, we're going to talk about your stuff as a grown-up. So beware, it's coming. And today we're talking about kid stuff, but you can answer your question. The question of the day is, do you have too much stuff? That could be you, it could be your kids, it could be both. Don't throw anybody under the bus. Just that you could just answer yes or no. Okay, so let me get started on our 6. I have 6 very specific things I want to tell you about to help you with your kids and the mountain of stuff that we have. First, I'm going to talk about 3 things that we can teach our kids, 3 very specific things that we want them to know so that we can conquer this stuff. And the first one is something you may not have ever thought of, and that's we want to teach our kids about ads and advertising. Even at a very, very, very young age, 4, 5, 6 years old, your kids can start to understand what ads are. And, in the days, I don't know about you, but we have PureFlix, Netflix, that kind of thing. We don't even really have, television ads anymore. So they don't really see those, but they do see billboards. They see ads in grocery stores. They see ads, just different places that we are. So they do see the ads. It's important to teach your kids what the purpose of ads are. If they've never thought about it, they don't realize that the whole goal of an ad, of course, is to convince you to buy something, right? This is sometimes a good lesson for us. I like to help my kids see what the purpose of the ad is. Like, we want to dissect it. Okay, so they want us to buy this, and how are they trying to talk us into that? Are they using emotions? Are they appealing to my emotions? Are they appealing to my senses? Are they appealing to the social side of me, trying to make me feel like I will be the only one who doesn't have this if I don't buy it? Those kinds of things. This is really good to teach your young kids because as they get older, they can discern that stuff a little bit better in their teen years when everything suddenly becomes, I must have this, I need this kind of thing. So teach your kids about ads and what they are and where they are as you see them. This is not like something you necessarily sit down and do. This is something you just do as you're living life and with them. Secondly, budgets. Now, I don't know if you've ever sat down and talked to your kids about budgets, and kind of everybody has different opinions, but it's incredibly important for your kids to learn how to manage money. If they can't manage money, they'll never manage stuff, but they'll also have a lot of trouble in life. Teaching your kid how to budget is one of the key strategies for helping your kids to not have too much or want too much stuff. If they understand that they've got this much money, then they can't buy anything else, then the excess of stuff becomes less. An example of this, a very practical example of this would be one of my daughters loves clothes, really loves clothes. One of my daughters could care less. The other really loves them. Funny how God does that, right? And so the daughter who loves clothes had to go on a clothing budget. I did the Dave Ramsey thing. I just told her, this is the amount of money I would spend on your clothes for a year. It's yours. in cash right here, right now. She's 12. I gave it to her. I said, you can get coupons, you can shop sales, you can spend it all today. I don't care, but you're not getting any more clothes until this is done. Until next time, right? Then I'm ready to give you money. This worked wonderfully for her. She became the most thrifty shopper. Suddenly everything in the store wasn't cute. Only certain things were cute. And she got much more wise about how she was spending, her money on clothing and things like that. So teaching your kids about budgets is really important. A little bit later this week, you will find a brand new post that I'm excited to bring you that kind of talks about this just a little bit. We're going to be talking about chores and budgeting and money and all of that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that a little bit later this week. It's going to be a great post, and I think you'll find it to be really helpful. Oh, and I have a little free printable as part of that post too. All right, number 3. So we've covered ads, teach your kids about ads, teach them about budgets. And then number 3, teach them the principle that you have to be responsible for your stuff. And of course, then the more stuff you have, the more stuff you have to do, the more you have to clean, the more you have to take care of it. My boys, I've been really working with them a lot about this because my youngest, he has been in chemo and has a brain tumor. If you don't know that already, he's doing great. But he's been in chemo for the last almost year now. And there's something about that brings out even people you've never ever met in your whole entire life that want to give him gifts. And so he has more stuff than any kid, I think, in the planet. And it's become very overwhelming for him. Like, we have to try to figure out what are we going to do with this stuff and where are we going to put it and how are we going to clean it. And he's a very clingy kid, so he likes to hold on to this stuff, but he's starting to realize that the more stuff he has, the more stuff he has to clean each time we get to cleaning. And we want to be teaching our kids that, if they just have stuff and we're not teaching them to take care of the stuff, we're not teaching them that they actually have the responsibility for picking it up and things like that. Instead, we're doing it, then they just want more stuff because why not? Mom takes care of it, dad takes care of it. So that's an important principle too. Now, so those are the 3 things we want to teach them. But now I'm going to give you 3 ways we can conquer those things, because all of our kids do have some stuff, and what are we going to do with it? The first thing we can do with it, of course, is get rid of as much as you possibly can. I know that's like very obvious, right? Believe it or not, you can get rid of so much more. I would definitely encourage 2 times a year to do like a major get rid of. And I do it at sometime about this time of the year before Christmas and sometime before each of my kids' birthdays. Like, I tell them now, people might bring you some things. You might get some stuff for this event that's coming up, and we have to make room. So what is it that you have that you really don't need anymore that we can do something with? And help your kids get that stuff together and get rid of it as much as possible. The more, the better, right? And I always get really excited about it. They think I'm really weird. Okay, I'm probably really weird. And so it's just like a fun thing in our house to have your little, get rid of stuff party right before you have your birthday or whatever. Some places to get rid of your stuff, just as suggestions, because I know sometimes people are like, well, I don't really know what to do with my stuff, and nobody really wants my stuff. And overall, that's not really true. If your stuff is in reasonable condition, places like pregnancy centers and women's centers, if you just look up, Google it, you'll find that there are some of those somewhere near you. Those places are desperate usually for especially children's stuff. Clothes, shoes, if they're in decent condition, they will take them used, and books and toys, just about anything, because they often will send this stuff with, especially women's centers, they'll send this stuff with the women and children who come to the center. And they need more stuff always. If you have newer stuff, like if your kids get something they don't want, don't need, never ever was played with, something like that, you might consider donating those kinds of things to hospitals. They won't take used stuff, but they will take things that aren't played with, or things that are still in the wrapper and things like that. Okay, most hospitals won't take used stuff. There might be some that do, but that's an option. Of course, you can also do a yard sale or something like that. We've done yard sales for ourselves. We've used the money to have an experience, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We've used the money to pay off things, and we've even used the money to donate to different causes. A couple years ago, we did a yard sale, and we bought a well for another country that didn't have running water, and that was really fun. My kids really love that. So when you get your kids rallied around different causes like that, especially I would caution you about telling them, if you sell all of your stuff, you can use the money to buy more stuff, okay? Because we don't really want to do that. It's defeating the purpose. So that's something that, I would probably not do. It was really fun. The best yard sale we've ever done, the most my kids have ever given away, was when we did it for the well. They loved it, and it was super fun to do that. Another thing that a lot of parents do is rotate their stuff. You've probably heard that before. But if you haven't tried it, I would really encourage you to try it, because rotating this stuff actually works. Take several boxes out, especially if you have really little ones. Take several boxes out and put them away. In today's devotion, I'm actually going to be talking to you. I'm going to share a little story with you about my son and having too much stuff, and how having too much stuff makes us bored and actually in some ways destroys our mind and our ability to think. So I would really encourage you, if you haven't signed up, to jump on the email list so you can get that email here shortly. So I think it will be really encouraging to you. Now, the last one, number 6, that I want to share with you is... before I do, if you haven't answered my question yet, I'd like to know, do you have too much stuff? So please jump in the comments and let us know if you have too much stuff. I think that we are going to find a lot of similar answers to that question. And okay, also, Steve, thanks for that book recommendation. We'll definitely check that out. Number 6, last but not least. One way that I conquer stuff in our family, especially I have 4 kids, and so stuff can quickly add up, especially when they were little, is to focus on 2 things. One, consumables, and by consumables I mean things that go away. So when my kids were really little, I started filling their stockings with consumable things, like fun toothpaste. They really like that, I promise. Even like fun bath body wash stuff that, in the shape of some character they thought was cool. Like, that stuff is really, but it's consumable. They only have it for a short period of time, and then it goes away. It's not collecting stuff in your house. Food can be another one, especially fun treats. I wrap up and give my kids, this is going to make you guys laugh, that nasty, sugary, awful cereal you're not supposed to feed human beings, This is not a nutrition course at all. I wrap that up at Christmas time and give it to them. And they love it. It's like this tradition that they think is so amazing, because we don't eat that stuff normally. And it's just a fun thing that they do. It's kind of a part of our Advent calendar, so I don't actually give it to them as a gift, but anyway, that's something that's consumable, that it's going to go away because they're going to eat that cereal, and they're only going to drive me nuts for like 2 days because the box doesn't last that long, and then the sugar's gone and I feel better on myself, right? So anyway, consumables. Other consumables would be things like crayons and pencils and papers and things that, you use up. So those are really great gifts. As you I don't know about you, but my family is always asking. They always want all of these lists of things that my kids want for Christmas. And so that's one of the things that I suggest to them. And the second one is experiences. And I'm going to give you, in today's email, there will be a list of all of the things that I have come up with to give my family for experiences, like things, basically no clutter gifts. It's a big long post with all kinds of ideas of things that, we could do instead of have. And this to me is huge, because not only do my kids feel like someone gave them a gift, which is special, my family can give them a gift and my family likes that and they feel special and everybody is celebrating, and that's wonderful. But in addition to that, we have nothing in our house that we have to store or figure out what to do with, but we do have a wonderful experience that we as a family can enjoy, which is building our family, helping us to get along better, helping us to love each other, and it's making memories that never go away even when the stuff does. So experiences to me are huge. They don't have to be like, 20-day vacations in Hawaii, okay? Most of us will never do that with our kids. They can be really simple things, even as simple as, going skating down the street. It could be a pass to the zoo that's more like an annual pass or something like that, especially if you have younger ones that really love to go to the zoo. And I know when my kids were little, I think my kids love to go to the zoo, and I also love to go to the zoo because I wanted to get out of the house and do something. And so we had passes and things like that for years and loved it. So just experiences are a wonderful way to do that. We've even done yard sales for experiences. I may have mentioned that earlier. When we have a bunch of stuff that we're trying to, unload, especially if we have a lot of clothing and things like that, as, a season has changed and everybody has grown, we're like, we want to use that money. We're like, what can we do? Like, what kind of fun thing can we do or see or experience? Do we want to pet some stingrays, or do we want to swim with dolphins, or, something really different that often we don't even think of as things that we would never spend money on. But when you add up all the money you're spending on, Lego sets and Barbies and all these crazy things that your kids never play with, you could have bought that dolphin experience like 20 times over, and that's a memory they'll never forget. And so I really encourage you to think about some ways that you can do that. Okay, so those are my 6 things that I wanted to share with you. Again, teach your kids about ads and budgeting, and teach them to be responsible for their stuff, and how more stuff creates more responsibility. And then the 3 ways to conquer the stuff is to get rid of it and rotate it out, and then consider having consumables or experiences instead of actual stuff. Okay, so that is our content for today. I hope that you've signed up for the Contentment Challenge. If you haven't, I'll be sending out an email here shortly with the devotional that I mentioned and a couple links to that post with the gift ideas and stuff like that. We'd love to have you. The link to sign up for the Contentment Challenge, if you're not already on the list, is in the comments here, or in the description here. So you can find that. And we will look forward to seeing you next week for week 3. We're going to start getting a little bit more personal starting next week. I've already written it, and I'm really excited to share it with you. It's going to be really good. So you guys have a great day today, and we'll see you next time.